first thing are streets that we paved in 2015. This isn't, I'll give you this list, you can copy this if you want. This isn't the complete list yet, but these are some of the roads that we're considering paving in 2015. And if you have any suggestions after we get done, go ahead and throw them at me. Licking View Drive, this is Dave's words, both ends, which would mean both sides of Hopewell Drive would be paved. Licking View Drive all the way to Filson Drive to Hopewell, and Hopewell to Orchard Street or whatever that is down there. For whatever reason, some of these streets, you know, it hasn't been that long, but they're not holding up. And Licking View does get a lot of traffic, there's no doubt about it, so we're definitely looking at that. Franklin Avenue, south from Hazel to Irvingwood Drive. So we have already done Franklin, which would be on the north side of Hopewell, and then we went from Hopewell to Hazel Avenue last time. So that will take care of Franklin, and that is in pretty bad shape also. Green Valley Drive, and we talked about that in here. That is a total curb replacement if we go in there. It's in horrible shape. I think we talked about that last time. That there will be some limitations there because there are so many curb cuts in that neighborhood. We'll have to figure out exactly how we can do that. But when we go into a neighborhood where the curbs are bad, we are trying to totally replace the curbs with the paving on that. That way we can try to keep up with some of those problems. So we may have a little bit of repair work in there too, so we'll just have to see that. Beaver Run Road, and I'm pretty sure that the paving that's being done on Thornwood now, John, they're not going to pave from Beaver Run to that cul-de-sac, are they, this time?
No.
They're not. Okay. So that will be in the list, and that's just a very short area there. Scioto Drive, that's off of 79 by Jay's Towing. That is a city street. I don't know how that became a city street originally, but it is a city street. Fox Run, and I'm not positive about that, but it could be all Fox Run. We've had some problems there, especially some places that have settled.
The entire subdivision?
Maybe. I don't know yet for sure.
The old part I could see. The newer part.
I don't know. It has Fox Run ED, and I didn't ask him what that is. That ED? I don't know what that means. I forgot to ask him today.
It's a version of addition.
It could be. It could be Dave's version of addition. I don't know.
Okay.
But I'll know for sure on that. And then Woodland Drive and Woodland Court, and of course that is in Southgate. I know areas that we're getting closer to is parts of River Oaks, not like the first phase. Eventually we're having, there's some areas in there, especially where the water lines have settled in those roads. I think it's been, how long is that subdivision? 20 years? 20? So I haven't been paved since, so that's something we'll be looking at maybe in 2000, well, so we have to save money for 2 years, that could be 2017.
From
you have
from the entrance to Blue Jack, we can get that part. That would be.
Yeah.
That's the oldest part.
Yeah, I think if you could do all of it where and stop where the four-way stop signs are.
Yeah,
back in there, you don't do any of that until later. Are there any other roads or anybody said anything to you? Any other problem areas? Now, again, I think we may have. I haven't totally checked that. Maybe $500,000 somewhere in that vicinity, maybe more.
On the license plate?
Yeah.
That's
And that would be including all the money that we would receive in 2015 also. And we get about $215,000 a year. Mayor, have you had any others? Did you hear the streets that I
No, I just sat down.
I'll say it real quickly. Licking View Drive, both ends. Franklin Avenue, south from Hazel to Irvingwood Drive. then Green Valley Drive, and that's also replacing the curbs. Beaver Run Road, east to the cul-de-sac, and that's just a.
And I'm sorry, Bob. This list is a list of
roads we're going to pave in 2015.
Okay, this is the plan, not a wish list.
No.
Okay. Go ahead. I had Green Valley. I had Green Valley Drive.
Green Valley Drive, and that's also replacing the curbs.
Yep.
So we're going to have to get estimates from Jobs and see what, we'll have to see the total amount of money we have and then what the estimates come in.
Mm-hmm.
And we may throw in a few other streets, and then we can pick which ones we want to do.
Were there any after Green Valley Drive? Was there one after Green Valley?
Beaver Run Road.
Okay.
And that's just when Thornwood Drive dead ends to Beaver Run, you would go east to the cul-de-sac. Scioto Drive, which is a small road really off of 79 across from Jay's towing. Fox Run, and I wasn't sure that Dave has Fox Run ED. Maybe it's Fox Run Road. Maybe it's just the main road. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Dave about that specifically. I don't know if he's talking about the whole subdivision there or just a few. I don't know how Fox Run was built. Was it different phases in there? Or was it?
That road coming in is bad.
Yeah.
I think in either direction, the road going around, street going around is bad.
Yep.
Or is it Heatherview that's in the middle?
Yeah. Heatherview, yeah.
I can't recall the condition of that.
It's not that bad, but those other ones are.
Windsong's in the back. It's not bad. The part on the south side.
And the curves are fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
The oldest part of the subdivision is on the south side. When you make a left
Okay.
off of Fox Run, when you make a left, those are the oldest phases.
Okay.
So maybe it is the whole subdivision.
I don't know. I'll talk to today. We have plenty of time to figure that out. And then Woodland Drive and Woodland Court in South Cape. Then I was asking if anyone else had any other suggestions or roads that they had seen or people had complained to you about at all. We are, along with some of that stuff, Cletus, we are going to fix 2 of the catch basins on Lisbon Whispering Pines and fixing one by Walmart. And there's another one, maybe Greenbrier, that needs to be fixed right now. So we're trying to get those done before winter.
Bob?
Yeah.
Licking View. If you're just talking about scraping an inch and a half off and putting an inch and a half on,
It'll probably be just an unless we have some.
Okay.
Unless we have some repair work to do. Usually you want it milled without curbs. Sometimes you do if it's really, really bad, and there might be some areas we may have to mill it down.
Yeah.
But something
I
always do it mostly. Always overlaid stuff.
I've been, and I think maybe John mentioned a couple of weeks ago, putting together the list for LCATs. So, in the back of my mind, I know I've seen some dollar figures for Licking View. Now, what you're talking about probably is more of like a Band-Aid. If we were to do Licking View right, as in, mill some off, probably put on at least twice as much as what we mill off, it's an expensive process. And we're trying right now to, we're still in the process of it, but we have applied to have Licking View be one of the federal, yeah, there you go.
And it's classified as a...
It's not yet finalized.
Okay.
We have begun the process, and we're in the middle of the process of trying to have that road with that classification, which means that if we can get that, obviously, a few years down the line, we might be able to get some federal money through ODOT to repair that, similar to what we're doing with Hopewell, similar to what we've done with Irving Wick, that type of thing, which would maybe allow us to do Licking View right. and may, to try to actually solve some of those problems.
Yeah, I mean, our problem is always our money is so thin that we try to do as much as we can, and to do much repair work costs us a lot of money. So that's the case where they can do a lot of repair work in some of those areas. That would be good.
Well, the street itself has almost every variable working against it, right? It's
In the shade.
It's in the shade quite a bit. Where it's not in the shade, the condition of the road is not as bad. It's right next to the river, so you know what the soil is around here. That means that it's always fairly soft. With the middle school and high school being there, 8 months out of the year, you've got multiple buses twice a day that use that road. So it has just about every variable working against it as it relates to being able to keep it in good condition.
Does that mean that there should be more stringent, tougher specs when you build a street? When you do something with a street that's, I don't know how long it's been since we paved, but I know it's
that long.
I remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember so good.
I want to say it was either in 07 or 08 was the last time that I paved.
But anyway, the question is, do you thicken the pavement a little bit? Does that help? I don't know.
Yeah, with some areas it does. That's what we did at James Parkway. We usually put on an inch and a quarter, inch and a half sometimes. James Parkway put 2 inches in because of the kind of traffic that goes on there. So we made that thicker. That's a possibility we could do.
See, that's what I'm thinking. And again, this is years. We're not talking about, like I said, we're kind of talking about a Band-Aid here. Years from now, if we can get that designation, you mill an inch and a half off, and then you put 3 or 4 on. You actually make it thicker. Hopefully, it stands up more.
The other thing I think that you need to, maybe the architect or the Judge Henderson need to look at the possibility of making them just a little bit wider. So that
in some ways, some areas there's a tree, and then there's.
I know. What I'm trying to say is, on some of those places that are in the shade, and that's where it gets to the point where maybe 6 inches, if nothing else, to go out on both sides of that to where it doesn't break off, which it's doing.
A lot of times in those shaded areas, you'll notice just what you said. In other places, the soil is loose. And you have a bus or anything big, that soil will tend to move more. But where the trees are, it will move, and it'll stay better there.
Well, what the shade does is it prevents the water from maybe evaporating off of it, which, and then in the winter, you have, there aren't leaves on the trees, but still, there's a lot of shade on that road, and so you have more of a freeze-thaw effect. The part of the road the part of Licking View, where you make that curve at Glen View, and now you're coming down past the past the left field fence for the baseball diamond and the softball diamond, and then you make that curve. When you get to that area, if you're heading from Hopewell to the high school, when you get to that area, the condition of the road is not as bad. Well, it gets the same amount of traffic, it gets the same type of traffic. The difference is now that road is facing so that the sun coming across is hitting that thing square and helping to dry it up.
Are you looking for other streets at this point?
Sure.
Hey,
if you want to
subdivision down here, Clinton, Lucky, and Kaufman
Okay.
is real rough.
And like I said, this could be a work in progress, and again, a hold on the money. How much we exactly have through 2015, and that'll have to turn into, and then what kind of estimates Jobs and Henderson gives us. I don't know what asphalt, price asphalt lately. Is it over 100 a ton? less than 100. I mean, we've been between 80, 85, 90, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the last Cousins did for. It was 10,000 more to do it this year than to do it next year. So we're going to do it next year in North Graves. But I can't remember what it was per ton. I don't remember the number.
No, that's an average. All right, so that'll be a work in progress, but we'll go through that. We are painting the white, and I'm not going to say yellow lines yet because we changed paint this year to a longer lasting paint, but it seems like it's taking longer to dry. And we've had some problems, some of the white lines drying, even especially in the shade area over a 3 or 4 hour period. And usually that was maybe a 40, 45 minute, we could pick up the cones and move on, and this isn't doing that. So I talked to Dave today. I told him don't even think about painting the yellow lines until we get something else figured out, because as Heath has found out this week, white paint on cars, and it is water based, so it has been washing off. At least that's, I got off my vehicle that way when I went to check on stuff. But the yellow might be a different story. So we're doing some test strips and trying to, a rep came in and talked to us and said that we may be putting a little bit too thick compared to what we had before. So we're trying to play with that a little bit and see if we get it dry quicker before we experiment with that. So
This week too, weather forecast says you should have some sun. It should be some of that cool, drier air. I mean, last week and the week before, I was wishing we had the pool open still.
Heath is our first, thing of defense when the people come in if they happen to have paint in their car. So he's done a good job, and he's called me, and we've checked things out. And he called me out one day and said, "Bob, this guy says the paint's white." Well, we painted that like 4 hours ago. There's no way. Well, I went up there and I put my fingers in. Now some areas was dry, but I put my finger and there was white paint on my fingers, so it wasn't drying. So, but again, it does come off with soap and water. So that's what we have found. So we're experimenting with that, and we're waiting to see if we're going to be able to do the yellow lines or not with this thing. We are getting our trucks ready. I know you don't want to hear this, but for winter. We have not received our new dump truck yet, so we're still waiting on that. And we're just gearing up, and hopefully,
Do we have an ETA on that, Bob? On the new dump?
I haven't heard anything yet.
Okay.
So we're gearing up for that.
On the old truck, are you going to keep that in service until you get the new one?
The tandem that we have, yeah.
The one you're going to sell?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Dave Pennington, I did announce this last time, is retiring. His last day will be September 30th. And they are going to have a little potluck September 30th at 11:30 here at City Hall. So I would say the councilman want to stop in and say goodbye to Dave. Been here for 31 years now, going on 31 years. So we'll be sending him off down the road to hopefully a happy retirement.
What time is it?
11:30. And other items in my report is some of the irrigation that you passed last time on the medians will start sometime in October. And then after that is done, before it freezes, we will take out the backflows on the medians. We have 3 black backflows that we have to take off and then winterize those for winter. So that will be done this year. That's all I have.
I had a call yesterday from a lady who lives in Southgate. She asked me if I'd been in there that day. I said yes. I told her to call you, but what a problem is there's too many cracks in the street, and then the curbs and weeds are growing up there, and nobody's pulling the weeds out. So I told her to call Bob. I figured
I'm
that
going to
might
count to
confuse.
5. I mean, at where I live, I go to Lowe's and I buy Roundup and I spray.
Do you have any extra you could maybe hit the side?
In my merry way. I understand what she's saying, because I think it looks horrible too, but for us to go, I mean, we can try to seal that, but you have to, once that stuff gets down in there, you know. I maintain my own in front of my own house, or I would have grass growing in front of my house, and I don't call the city, and, you know, asking someone to come
You don't
kill
call
my
yourself?
grass. Huh?
You don't call yourself?
Well, I use my own money to buy it. I call myself. But.
Just wait till he retires.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm using my money to pay for that stuff. But you know, that's something we talked about. So I don't know what the answer is to that. I mean, maybe we go through one time and kill it all. Well, salt eventually, but it all comes back. Even if you put weed killer, eventually it comes back. Just stuff can make crap.
Well, and the weed killer that you are able to use now does not last as long as it used to because of EPA. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Right. We're having trouble with, and I guess I don't do it under the parts, but we did call Flow Line and have them come in and do the
Walking path?
Walking path.
Okay.
But again, we're finding out it doesn't last as long.
And I know that you haven't used this street sweeper in a long time, but years ago, when that kind of washed the curb and keep those where they
Well,
wouldn't look so much.
You know, we had it running a little bit this year, but it has been broken down a lot. It's going to cost a lot of money, and with our finances, we can't fix it the way we should. So I guess that, you know, a lesser priority of trying to pave streets and some other things. But yeah, you're right. We used to use a sweeper all the time. And a little bit tighter than it used to be. So maybe someday. Anything else?
The banner arms. Last I saw they weren't fixed yet.
The banners?
The arms for them.
No banners are up.
Well, last time I looked up, they weren't there, so
Yeah, the banners were put up.
the arms are all fixed again for them. They're great.
Yeah, that's on my agenda for the park.
I saw a contract.
But I think
Thursday if they're working on it.
they put them up Friday, maybe? Or either this last Friday or Friday.
Yeah, I think it was last week sometime.
It was on Friday, I thought they put them.
Yeah. They were up last week.
Yep.
You got that pole replaced it there.
Yeah, the pool is maybe, and I don't know if I touched on that or not either, but I answer a lot of questions for that. The street light pole on the corner of Parkview and Hopewell and 79 has been replaced. The old pole, of course the mast arms were taken off, but the old pole was left there. And that was left there because if we didn't leave it there, the trucks would be driving over top of that, unless the city wanted to spend money on bollards of 3 or 4 of them just to keep truck drivers from driving over the edge of that by Chipotle. So for now, I told them just to leave it there. It will act as a buffer. It will act. I mean, if they hit it now, no big deal. You know, there's nothing on it now. But it will act where truck drivers won't be able to cut that corner right on the edge there. Because if not, they would destroy it over there. Because it's a what kind of angle is that? Is it an acute angle that you have to turn there?
Truck drivers don't get it.
Yeah. So,
Truck drivers don't hit it.
they don't hit it. Is that what they say, or
Truck drivers don't hit it. The guy is just kind of
driving a truck?
driving it.
Yeah, okay, I got you. I got it.
For sure.
Nothing else?
There's 2 reading.
Okay.
Adjourn at 5:55.
Put it back in the.
to jump right in.
Okay, ready to go.
We will call Parks Recreation and David Shea to order at 5:55 for Clemens Ash Street.
Again, I have touched on this, but we have noticed some ash trees within Geller Park that we're going to have to address ourselves. There's one called a Marshall seedless ash that is almost completely dead in the park. And then there's also there's some park things. And then
I got copies of them right there.
okay. And then there is just some regular ash trees that are going bad in the park from the ash borer. So we are going to eventually have to cut those trees down. I think, of course, most of the trees in Geller Park have been donated. So if we cut those down and we want to try to put a tree where it was, I mean, that's a project in itself to get the stump out. So we're trying to decide exactly how we're going to take care of this ash tree problem. And then I also reported that AEP is going around where there's any lines and they're taking those ash trees down for us, but we have to take care of one ourselves. If you kind of notice around those places, they're really, once they start to die, I think the guy said it takes, what he said, 3 months or 4 months for it to really start going bad. So, but anyway, we have trees within the park. You know, the nice section where the trees are very nice that are dying, so we have to take care of those and take those out eventually. Number 2, banners. Someone asked me, oh, that was you.
Bob,
Go ahead.
on the trees, I think I've maybe had this discussion before. The state of Ohio, through the Division of Natural Resources, has timber experts that do a thing called timber stand improvement. And at least they did. I don't know if they made some cuts there, don't have those guys anymore. But what they will do is they'll come in and look at your trees on Geller Park, Hoback Park, Forey, whatever.
We did that 2 or 3 years ago, right? That's
Oh, did we?
yeah. We had somebody from
They came in Forest Preserve and looked at our trees.
came through Hoback Park.
State of Ohio, did?
Yeah.
They showed us intrusive plants that we could get rid of if we wanted to. He said we had a very immature forest in that Forest Preserve because they have logged it through the years.
Right.
Yeah. He talked about if we were to say, replace trees or plant new trees, ones that are more indigenous to this area, that would maybe be better options to go with. He also talked about, and you see this from time to time, where there'll be things that look like vines, which are not really good for the trees. How you can cut those back and manage those, kill those off, and how that helps the trees. And yeah, he talked about maybe some trees he thought, but overall, like Bob said, it was
immature.
Yeah.
He went through Hoback Park and Geller Park with us, and along the bike path there a little bit, and then along Licking View to get some other area. It looks like Quarry Preserve.
There are.
I think it was on your suggestion 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think we did. So we followed through on your suggestion.
Yeah, we listened to you.
Thank you for telling us about that.
Never mind.
The funny thing is, though, the guy was telling us about some of these intrusive plants, and they said those plants are the ones that turn green first in the spring, and they're the last ones to lose their leaves in the fall. So that's why you can tell which of those plants are. And he started naming some of them, and one of them was like an autumn olive, and some of these other ones. And it's like, well, I can remember because I started 78 and 80 when we moved in Geller Park. I got into that stuff, and we got some free plants from the Department of Natural Resources. Well, what were some of those plants? Autumn olive, intrusive plants that now they're saying to get rid of, but they were giving them out to plant in 1980. So,
Security, right?
yeah, so,
I want you to chop them out.
well, they had a plant, didn't they? So, anyway, I thought that was fun. Going on to the banners, yes, they are up, and like I said, they've been up for a week, so it would have been last Friday, it was the Friday before, I think they put them up. And I think they look very nice up there. And then, of course, we've talked about this for the 50th, to put banners up, on the for next year for our 50th anniversary. So yeah, they're up, looking good, and the guys did say, have they talked to you about the banners, John? They had a few little suggestions still with that. The third thing is, and again, I brought that up prior, talking about the pool filler building roof that when it was built, it's a metal roof. When it was built originally, it had no ice or snow rail system, and that's again where snow or ice builds up, it starts to slide down, but it will hit these areas and then split it or keep it from just falling down off the roof. You've seen them in a lot of places where they have metal roofs, especially over any place there's a door. Somebody slammed the door, ice comes down, not pretty. So those weren't built with those at the pool. So the first, it probably wasn't, it was, we might have went through 5 or 6 or 7 years without nothing happening. And then one year we had all our vents got annihilated from the ice. So then we went into action and got some snow and ice rails, but the ones we put up were not strong enough. And a couple years later, even bigger ice and snow, which we know our winters have been, and they came down and just wiped them out. Now it did save some of our vents, but a couple of them got destroyed again. So we're back to that again, where we have to have this done before winter sets in. And I talked to you about that. I did have some money for that, but then we had to fix a roof over our overhang. We found that we had a leak, and we had to fix that immediately, and that took some of the money that we had. So, but this is something we have to get done. So I have a legislative request to appropriate $7,295 within the capital improvement fund to install an ice snow system for the pool filter building.
Give me that figure again, Bob. I'm sorry.
$7,295.
Is that right? Anybody have any questions?
Craig really wanted that done next year when he shut the door and stuff.
You know, I had asked Bob, well, what difference does it make when it's winter and the pool's not open and all that? But I didn't know this. We actually still go over there 2 or 3 times a week and check those buildings and
bump the pumps.
Yeah, so
The pumps.
even though it is winter and the pool's not open, we do still, come in and out of those buildings, and from a safety standpoint, we don't want, somebody opening up the door and having a chunk of ice falling him in the head.
It also protects our events that we have on the buildings too. So there's metal roofs, that ice can get going. Repairs along bike trails. We are having it's the bike trail here by where the tunnel goes underneath the 79, where the river is. Just on the east side of that, part of that path is starting to cave in along the river. And there's also a big culvert there, and we are getting that fixed. So that will be fixed before winter. And these aren't cheap fixes. And also, I know Craig is looking at that. You've been across the trestle, and we talked about that, but I think he put some boards on there. But I think we're looking at how we can help place that trestle, some of those boards on there. We're also looking at some of the other bridges that we had done, the one over Ramp Creek off of Irvingwood Drive. There were a couple of bad boards there. We're looking at how we can replace those boards. It's not simple to just replace those boards, and they're really thick. I don't know what they're 34 inches.
Wait. Are you talking about the relatively new one?
The newest one is at the pool. The next newest one would be on that goes over Ramp Creek by the tunnel.
You've already got a couple patch jobs on that one.
What's that?
You've already have a couple patch jobs
Yes.
on that.
That is not. They are not treated. That's just fine.
Okay.
So there's a couple there that bet.
Do they ever mow around the paths over at the Yellow Park? You know, treated running, they mow that?
I wasn't expecting it.
Well, right now we're spraying it and trying to kill all that grass. I mean, when I don't know if they mow the path itself when the grass gets high. I mean, when I was mowing, I did. I don't know if Ronnie's doing that, but I assume he is. But we're spraying it right now. Yep.
I want to check with Jack Brown, the Report Department. Somewhere where he lives, down around Roseville or something, he was talking about a sawmill that sells rough cut oak board.
Oh, really?
Really cheap.
Roseville?
Somewhere around that area, yeah. To check.
Give Jack a call tomorrow,
Yeah.
Bob, and see. Also, Bob, I would, as it relates to the bike paths, I would like to see us implement that idea that Paige brought to us.
Well, we've talked about that again, and you want to set something up, or how?
Yeah. It's just a matter of getting together or something like that. It just seems like we keep.
Since you're an usher now, so that helps make Saturdays worse.
Well, Wendy wanted to do it on work time and stuff like that, and now I'm real busy at work, so I can't find time to sneak away. So it's kind of.
No, we're working on it.
We're working.
All right. All right.
Is there a lot of mud and silt gathers on, especially on the Riverwalk portion?
What part are you talking about?
The
In Hoback or?
Hoback, the Hoback to Irvingwick side. Do we go through and do we have any kind of something we can scrape the mud or?
We have a broom sometimes that we can put on one of our mowers to do
Yeah.
some things.
Power broom or something? Once in a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility, but it's.
There's parts of that.
We used to have a broom for a Kubota, but the new mowers, I don't know if we have anything, and I'm not sure if that's working right now, so I'll have to check into that.
I mean, there are parts.
We blow it off once in a while, with blowers, but it's not. I mean, it takes a lot of time.
I'm not saying every
Yeah.
week. I'm just
Right.
saying
Yeah, we'll try.
a couple times a year. There are parts that are impassable. There's that much mud built up.
Well, I'm sure the one by the river is impassable.
Yeah, it's impassable.
But that's been, and probably if you go down to the bridge by the Port Authority, that's probably impassable too.
Yeah, whenever we get the
Because
water up.
we have to rent something to get that out. So,
Yeah.
after
path
a
is
while,
not
it's
that
just
much
it's
higher
almost
than
a useless.
the level of the water.
It's almost a useless part of the bike path for us to keep going. But also some. I guess the next thing, the David Shea House Friendship Club events update.
Yeah, I just wanted to update everybody. When we met a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the idea of me contacting the Arts Council and Friendship Club to discuss the idea of the Halloween and or I guess Christmas open house maybe being that the Friendship Club does being at the Shea House. After our council meeting 2 weeks ago, I went over and went to Jan's house actually. I think even unannounced. I don't even know if I called him before I came by. My apologies for that. I talked to Jan about it. Her initial opinion, without really discussing it with anybody else in the club, is that the folks in the club, those who used to volunteer for the Heath Community Arts Council, for the most part, are not interested in doing events at the Shea House. I then went home. I called Park Shea the chair of the Arts Council Board. I left him a voicemail. I then called Jim Johnson, who is one of the board members, and I talked to him. He said to me that the Arts Council was perhaps considering doing a different type of something or other for Halloween, and then I went on the David Shea House's website and I saw the date that the Friendship Club is looking to do this, which is October 23rd. When you go on the Shea House's website, they have listed that there's a private event there and I don't know what time, it just says private event, it doesn't have the details for it. So basically, I left it at that. The facility was not available on the day that the club was looking to do it. The Arts Council is looking to do a different type of thing for that holiday. The Friendship Club did not seem to have interest in doing events or whatever at the Shea House at this time, so I left it at that. So I wanted to report to you that I did follow up and do what I said that I was going to do, and that was the feedback that I got from both parties.
And Mayor, I have something that from the Friendship Club I'd like to read, if that's okay with Bob.
That was all I had on that topic. So.
Is that agreeable, Bob? Okay, thank you. And bear with me. I think we've worked together for many years, and you know the heart that goes into working for the city and the feelings that these people have. And I am delivering this on their behalf. Mayor, thank you for all, and I'm going to read because I don't want to deviate. Now, Mayor, thank you for offering the Friendship Club opportunities to help the city of Heath with family events and a military parade for the times you have said thank you to the Friendship Club for the efforts they have put forth. The opportunities you've given the group have helped individual members grow in confidence and provided an outlet for those who want to serve the Heath community. According to this group, you should also be thanked for showing a concern for the families of the community. You've not turned a deaf ear to requests made for more family-type events and have been passionate about establishing them and continuing to offer them. Members of the Friendship Club are very vocal that from the multitude of positive comments made last year at the Halloween and Christmas events by parents walking through, that you are on target. John, since you're here tonight, the Friendship Club appreciates you being so positive, encouraging, and helpful. The group knows it has limited resources and needs direction many times, and you've provided it, so they say thank you. Jeff and Doug, you have both been very supportive, and you've helped with the parade, taking time to say thanks and sharing faith in what the Friendship Club is all about and trying to do for Heath. To all of council, words of thanks mean more to the Friendship Club than you can possibly imagine. But we have an issue. John Groff's statement of need to City Council 2 weeks ago to move some of your meetings to another room so the community could enjoy its building for 2 holiday events created a controversy and provided the community with a YouTube glimpse of how you feel. Instead of a single response, some stepped out of the role as legislator and engaged in a lengthy discussion that included accusations about motives behind the Friendship Club, comprised of some of your own citizens and some people you don't even know, targeting the group for political purposes and expecting them to meet your standard of decorating instead of what they feel is really the interests of children. You discussed pushing the Friendship Club into a precarious situation that would not only hurt the Davis Shea House, but also violate the lease you hold with the Heath Community Arts Council. It was felt the disrespect and a lack of appreciation was shown for the club, and that has been trying hard, in their opinion, to make the city of Heath shine bright in the eyes of this community and all of Licking County, and that a message was sent that no volunteer group, service organization, or business in the community is exempt for that. So the group wants to address some of the basic issues that were discussed. The club asked why not use the facility, why not have multiple holiday events, why not have Halloween, Why not drop a piece of candy into a child's trick-or-treat sack? Why not have multiple July 2nd events? Tim, I don't only address this to you because you said you were going to be Mr. Negative, and instead we're trying to encourage you to reverse that and capture the same excitement, positive leadership that everybody in this room, including you, shows for sports and other activities. We all enjoy those. We challenge each of you to be a civic leader who encourages more groups to make Heath the place to be during the holidays, encourages more organizations and businesses to provide something fun for families and children every night throughout December and other months as well. Let's work together to change the Newark Advocate's headlines from something negative to Heath's the place to be during the holidays. Be flexible, forget the routine, think out of the box, roll up your sleeves as elected officials, and work with all groups in the city of Heath that are trying to make a difference. In regards to use of government office buildings for holiday events, such practices are not unique to Heath. In reality, the people own the buildings, so why not open the doors to them? Heath citizens are honest, hardworking people who, though some may not have much in material goods and may not have high-paying jobs, respect the property they own and the people they elect, namely you. If anything is subject to being bothered in this building during the holidays, it's the personal property of the members of the Friendship Club. The precedence of opening government buildings to the public was set years ago. In the most famous public house in America, people enjoy public tours, even into the rooms being used by the President of the United States. It's a working White House, and the staff and employees are friendly to the citizens who tour it. In December, it is transformed into a Yuletide masterpiece. Volunteers from all across the country decorate the entire White House with extravagant decorations. Last year, Michelle Obama was surrounded by children as she sat next to the Santa Claus and read The Night Before Christmas. In another area of the country, citizens are invited to celebrate the holiday throughout the entire month of December at what is called the People's House. The People's House is our state capitol building. In reference to the relationship between the Friendship Club and the Davis Shea House, it has been stated many times that the Friendship Club is a separate entity from the Davis Shea House, its board, and its volunteers. It's wrong to continually try to make them one. For 2 years, the club has set its own course and enjoyed going its own way. We take trips together, we go to various restaurants together, picnic together, play games and laugh together, and perform community service together. Members who were once Davis Shea House volunteers say they do not wish to change that course, and while they respect the efforts of their friends, and we call them friends, who have remained as volunteers at the Davis Shea House, they do not want to nor have any intentions of returning as volunteers. Please accept that and please honor it. The city's intent to rebrand the Davis Shea House has nothing to do with the Friendship Club, and the club wants to take no part in the city's interest in doing that. Obviously, members of the club want the Davis Shea House to be successful because they actually have a vested interest in it, but the club cannot be made responsible for making that happen. Please avoid making comments like, "We'll see just how friendly the Friendship Club is." Whether intended or not, such statements really hurt. They create animosity and are not very professional, and especially when everybody's laughing about it. Surely the group sitting around this table understands the friendliness of anyone, including the Friendship Club, can't be defined by forcing anyone into a political battleground or by using a ploy to prove a point. The Heath Community Arts Council holds a lease with the city of Heath to run the Davis Shea House for the city. The honorable thing for council to do is to honor that lease with them and to show respect to the Arts Council, its employees, and the people who volunteer there. The city has no legal right to interfere with it or to expect the Arts Council to offer that building to anyone who does not pay a fee to use it. Please stop sending mixed messages to them. You want them to be self-sustaining. We all do. Yet you want them to accommodate groups that you feel should meet there. After months of uncertainty and pleading and exasperation that resulted in finger-pointing and harsh words being spoken because council kept delaying its decision on funding, and the public then got involved, you want the Arts Council to accept all that's happened since May as though it did not happen. If the city of Heath wants the Arts Council to be successful and wants the best for the Davis Shea House, council will acknowledge the uphill battle that group faces. Be professional and leave it alone, and stop referencing the Davis Shea House and trying to force two groups to become one. Recognize the Arts Council has had significant employee changes, has lost a major portion of its volunteers, and is uncertain about its future funding. Why would anyone even think about putting up another hurdle, as Brian accurately defined it? Council cannot legislate reconciliation, and interference and judgmental comments open up wounds that benefit no one, create a greater divide, and do injustice to the city we all represent. In reference to the open door policy, while it may be for security reason, an open door policy really doesn't exist in the building. Citizens walk into the building through two sets of closed doors. They walk into a lobby where entry into the police department is directly in front of them. They communicate with people protected by walls, doors, and windows, and try to express their needs through a little open window. It's hardly an open door policy to people who really need it. The citizens, in questioning their enjoyment of the facility, sends the wrong message. During the two open houses, community people freely expressed their feelings of intimidation when they entered this building and disbelief that city officials would invite them into a fun event held for their enjoyment. The Friendship Club was thankful to think it might be playing a small role in helping to change this perception by sharing with people that City Hall is comprised of friendly people and their government is always open to their needs. So an open door policy actually goes far beyond physical doors. It is open communication and making people feel important, no matter the inconveniences. The next time Halloween comes into question, provide this answer. The White House gets a Halloween makeover every year. The grounds are covered in pumpkins, gourds, and cobwebs, and the north portico is lit orange. President and Mrs. Obama welcome trick-or-treaters from local schools, and children of military families attend special Halloween parties inside the White House. While it may have a questionable past, the Halloween tradition came to the United States in the 1840s with millions of Irish immigrants. When it was transplanted, Halloween became a fun holiday for children. And in fact, Grover Cleveland was among the first Americans to grow up with carved pumpkins and trick-or-treating. Today, even churches everywhere hold trunk-or-treat and Halloween parties. It is true that a big deal was made last year about the ghost in the office that was there and making so much noise one day and removed after the event that night. But actually, all the displays were unplugged the night before to avoid any disruption of the workday. It was the employees who plugged them in because they were so excited when seeing the displays and they wanted to see them in action. Keith, you go to the Mardi Gras every year. Well, you and I talk about that and we laugh about that. This year, have a little fun with the employees and then say, okay, guys, knock it off now. Unplug the things and get to work. By the way, if you want to experience Halloween in a government building, take a tour of the State Capitol building in Columbus this Halloween. For $12, people walk down dimly lit limestone corridors by lantern and encourage the spooky sights and sounds. So Heath's idea is not new. The club has faithfully tried to address the office concern, and we agree with that. All that we ask of elected officials was to demonstrate a little patience, make room for children who may not be so fortunate as we are to experience unique, fun things. In regards to concern about security, had you been here for the Halloween and Christmas open house, you would have been impressed with the security measures taken and witnessed how effectively controlling 1,364 people for Halloween and around 800 for Christmas was handled. Private office doors were closed and locked, including the one to the tax department. Caution tape at Halloween and ribbons at Christmas blocked off entry into any areas where people were not permitted. Over 40 Friendship Club members were stationed along the well-defined path. No one was interested in anything except the displays, treats the children were receiving, and proudly watching their child pose for a picture. We encourage you to come to the events this year, and you'll see the happy faces of the children, the politeness and the expressions of thank you, their awe in what they see and experience, and the sincere appreciation expressed by parents for the City of Heath providing such a great experiences will change your feelings about both events. You'll hold a greater appreciation for what the City of Heath and the Friendship Club offer this community during 2 exciting nights at Heath Municipal Building. Last year, Council was provided a report for Halloween that showed out of 377 households, 138 were in Heath. Of the 1,364 people who walked through the Halloween event, 634 were children aged 10 or under. The important thing, however, is not the number of children who are served, but the fact that children are important to city officials, and events such as the Halloween event convey that the city cares enough to provide a fun, safe night where family and friends can stand in the parking lot and chat, and children can touch and climb on large vehicles, see elaborate decorations, take home a treat. Same's true with the Christmas event. Last year, on a cold, bitter, rainy night in December, almost 800 people felt the holiday magic with Santa was exciting enough to come in spite of the terrible weather. Patty Smith thought children were important enough to provide them rides in her Cinderella carriage while she drove the horses in the cold, bitter rain for over 3 hours. When the fire truck arrived and Santa came through the door, Santa was met with a line of little faces that lit up with smiles and excitement. He said for the first time he realized the important role he played in their young lives. As they moved through the council chamber into the caucus room, many of the children placed a personal, handwritten letter in Santa's mailbox. Members of the Friendship Club read every one of them. Some wanted far deeper things than Santa could provide. One asked for a happy home. Another wanted his mother to get well. While we debate about City Hall being an appropriate place for Santa to meet with children, the inconvenience it causes whether or not a caucus room in a council chamber should be transformed into a winter wonderland, whether there are too many decorations or whether two different holiday events are competing against each other. Some children have homes that are torn apart by less than desirable economic conditions, abuse, drugs, visions of beheadings on television, and threats of war from ISIS and Russia. All they want is some happiness in their young lives. 1 week ago, 35 people with the Friendship Club stood on the memorial grounds in Washington, D.C. We passed Arlington Cemetery, where young men and women are still receiving military burials every day. At the memorials, with the Vietnam Wall as the backdrop, we learned of 14 and 15-year-olds who had been recruited by this country to fight in that war, and the names of some who died before they were 16 years old are etched in the granite. These are children who are only 4 or 5 years older than the oldest child we hand a piece of candy to, or who come with families to see Santa. Unfortunately, they learned before they were old enough to drive that freedom is not free, and they paid the price for it. In reference to two competing events, the Victorian Christmas Open House was established in 2001, and through the years, many, many beautiful decorations were purchased. By 2011, the event was highly successful and popular. It was a way to showcase the Davis Shea House, much as the White House is showcased. We wanted the public to see it in all of its glory. It was never meant to be an event for children. True, there was a personal display of trains brought to the house for the event, and Dick, you did a great job as Father Christmas. But the purpose of the event was to showcase the house. Unless the decorations have been given away, the Davis Shea House has all the resources to continue that event. Last year, the Friendship Club had 0 resources to host the December event. Club members reached into their pockets to purchase over 24 strands of lights for the trees outside of City Hall, bought decorations for the bridge, and used personal decorations for the inside. We're sorry that some of you didn't notice the bridge lit up for the holidays, but many compliments were received about it, and thanks to Kessler Signs for providing electricity, it added a beautiful touch to the city of Heath. The holiday magic with Santa is far different from the Victorian Christmas. It's a child's event that involves Santa as today's children know him and elf stations that they read about. Heath offering 2 holiday events is no different than Newark, Granville, and other cities offering multiple events, and in fact, we should offer multiple events to meet the varied interests of our community. It is unfortunate that the negative discussion took place. In reality, John was simply trying to notify you of the logistics of 2 events after changes had been made to address Keith's honest complaint and avoid use of the office area. It's also unfortunate that the Friendship Club learned from the Newark Advocate about council getting sidetracked and debating the 2 events, and then witnessed on YouTube statements that were made. Ultimately, it was most unfortunate for the city of Heath that on the front page of the September 3rd Newark Advocate, 2 articles were placed side by side that told the tale of 2 neighboring cities for people in Licking County to read. Which one was the most honorable? Which one captured the importance of making every event in life count for families in our community? Granville's, which read funeral set for Ohio Guardsmen, or Heath, which read Halloween planning, no treat for Heath Council. In the big scheme of life, it is best to pick your battles carefully. Avoid entering into issues that do not fall within the scope of legislative duties, and above all, weigh every word that you say and the effects they have on people. Please always show respect and kindness, even if you disagree with them. The Friendship Club has committed to help the City of Heath host the 50th anniversary celebration and Armed Forces Day Parade, and I have here that for you. Research has been started for the 50th anniversary open house, and a committee comprised of representatives from civic groups, the Friendship Club, and other interested parties in the process of being formed, and that includes the union. In regards to the parade, the VSO is working on funding. A company has submitted a request to bring a major attraction either next year or the year following, and we are trying to bring the World War II tank back for a second year. Council has also graciously pledged, and we appreciate that, to financially support both the anniversary open house and the parade. The Friendship Club of Licking County started preparations to hold both Halloween and Christmas after a meeting held with John Groff over a month ago, followed by a second meeting with the mayor and John Groff held 3 weeks ago. A new route inside of the building was established to avoid any use of the office areas. 2 club meetings have been held with responsibilities assigned at each meeting. Trucking companies and emergency responders have been contacted to bring their vehicles for the spectacular part of the Halloween event. Companies have agreed to help offset some of the cost of candy for the event and to help furnish some of the treat bags. A farmer is furnishing the bales of straw and corn stalks. Contacts have been made to secure pumpkins to help with the outside decorations, and additional signs have been painted to accommodate a different exit from the building to avoid use of the office area. $2,500 has already been noted for the has already been donated for the December event to ensure children have a good experience and remain dry in case of inclement weather. Some florists and businesses have been contacted to partner with the City of Heath and Friendship Club to provide some newly decorated trees. Members have been in contact with companies to furnish children's items for one of the 7 elf stations. Last year, in 2 events, over 2,000 people went through Heath City Hall at no expense to council or to the City of Heath. Financial endorsements from businesses proved they support the events. The positive response from the public was overwhelming gratitude that Heath would provide something for families like these 2 events in the municipal building. They expressed appreciation for an easy place to park, safe environment for their children, and a family night out at no expense to them. Halloween was so successful that people came to City Hall the following day wanting to sign their children up for this year's event. Because of the long line that stretched from the front door and around the building past the police department, the doors were opened early. When families learned the December event was going to be held, many returned. City employees, including those in the building, were excited about the decorations and events and said it made it fun to come to work. Some brought their children in, while others brought their grandchildren to both events. Council should keep in mind that its role is legislative, not administrative. Legislative duties can be fulfilled anywhere as long as the sunshine laws are observed. Fulfilling the wishes of this community and proving you as elected officials really represent them and care about their interests are far more important than turf wars related to room use. In reality, the Friendship Club is helping you fulfill your duties and showcasing you as elected officials. Last Thursday, 31 members of the Friendship Club attended a meeting to discuss Council's comments 2 weeks ago. All 31, plus an additional 7 who phoned, asked unanimously for this message to be delivered to the Heath City Council and to say they are adamant that both the Boo Night and spectacular Halloween and holiday magic was to be held at Heath City Hall for this community. They also reaffirmed their commitment to help the City of Heath host both the 50th anniversary open house and the Armed Forces Day Parade in 2015. The public has proven it wants and supports such events, and the Friendship Club is moving forward to offer them. The community deserves to truly experience an open door policy, and everyone in the room, as well as all organizations, need to embrace Coshocton's philosophy that was stated in yesterday's paper. Anytime you can get people together out and build community, that is a very good thing. That's all I have to say.
Okay, we have people who have things to add to that, comments, questions? I wanted to say one thing, just because we have Jan here tonight and we didn't 2 weeks ago. I didn't feel like a lot of the discussion was anything negative about the Friendship Club, and I think that I can't imagine anyone here doesn't realize what wonderful things the group has done. And I think that the events were very successful. I come from a perspective, and I talked to John a little bit because I told him I never see John get frustrated, and I could sense he was frustrated a little bit at the last meeting. And it's not my intent, and I don't think anyone else's, but I've worked for the government for 38 years. I've worked for the state, the county, the city, and now as an elected official. And in all of that, I try to think of the big picture, not just, a segmented part of the population. And I heard things like, Cletus, even though he was misquoted in the paper about, being approached about Satanism. There are people who believe Halloween is that.
I know that.
And we represent everybody. I don't represent. All of your things fall perfectly with my traditions and my family traditions. And if I had children or grandchildren, be the perfect events for them to attend. But I think when I think about a government building, I think if we do these kinds of things, we have to be willing, if a group comes forward and wants to have a Hanukkah celebration here, they want to have a Kwanzaa celebration here, or anything else that I haven't even thought about, we have to think about this as, the entire population. And as you said, the people that were here, it was a fabulous event, and I had thrown out even like Kovac Park, because I thought that's a place that has nice parking, it has a lot of things that maybe that could be used, and people wouldn't necessarily think of it as the government building, because I think it's naive to think that as a government entity, we're not held to a different level of scrutiny than the private sector. And there are going to be some people who think if we don't have city people here working that event, we're putting the facility at risk, and others are going to say, if you've got people working here, we're paying to work for something that's, so, I think of all those things and all the wheels turn in my head, and it's not about not wanting to have those events, it's just about, thinking about the broader segment of the population and meeting, serving all of them. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, and it isn't anything to do with anything negative about what any of your group has done, because I think they've done fabulous things, and I think they put their heart and soul into it. All right, that's my 2. Anybody else before we move on to other items? Okay. Anything else?
One more thing. We had some residents in River Oaks complaining about 4-wheelers in Ford Preserve. And in fact, one 4-wheeler went up between 2 houses and turfed their yard. And I called the chief, and he did a little investigative work on our 4-wheeler. He went up through there and found that they were entering Ford Preserve off Irving Wick Drive, where the trailer park is, where the bike path crosses Irving Wick, and it goes back there, back to Stagger's property back there. But they were going through a field and then heading up into Ford Preserve. So the chief is aware of that. Craig was, I don't know if he has yet, but he said he was going to post some signs, no motor vehicles in there. And we're trying to stop the 4-wheelers from going back in there. So anyone sees a 4-wheeler or hears or knows mention of it, call the police department, and maybe we can stop this. But we have fought motorcycles and 4-wheelers back there, and they're not allowed back there at all, ever. And also, we do have hunting going on back there. I don't know what time of year we do that, but I know it's coming up. That's probably not a good thing either. So we're trying to stop that. But this is the first time that someone has used a 4-wheeler and turfed someone's yard up in that road. So I don't think that's a good thing. I think they were looking for a way to get out, and they saw an opening, and that's how they got out. So, and that's the only time I've ever heard or seen anything like that since I've lived up there. But a parent was concerned, and it was a family that had 4 little kids that lived there, and they were a little concerned about it. So I let the chief know. So we're trying to do what we can for that.
That's all I have.
Anybody else have anything for Parks Rec for David Shea?
I think this thing looks really sharp. I like that.
Well, I think it's very important that you not disrespect the, I guess I want to say, or change your logo. You got a beautiful logo for the city. And I know when Mayor was talking about, well, let's put, some dates up above or something like that. I think you don't want to hurt the overall the picture of your logo. So that's the reason, since it has at the bottom, City of Heath, I thought, well, we can fiddle around with that a little bit and not hurt anything. But that was just something Saturday night. Evidently, I didn't have enough.
I'd like to have this used all throughout the year next year on our letterhead, on our envelopes that we have printed. John, I think banners or whatever ought to have this incorporated on there. I mean that looks good. I like that.
We can do another. I mean, we can fiddle around with it, but I really was cautious about trying to change the logo. We could if I take the window off of it, that's going to be offensive because that represents the window of the David Shea house and the things like that. And I thought, that's not right. Because you could take that window off and then you could picture it inside of a zero. But I think that window is very important on there. That was your original logo, and it was designed professionally, and I don't think we ought to mess with it too much, but still get the idea of the 50th on there.
I think it looks really nice. I think, like we talked about before, next year ought to, be a year where we can kind of stick our chests out a little bit, we'll be proud of the city, and I think that's a step toward that.
There was another suggestion too that I didn't bring up the last time that we had our meeting, and that was having some of these made up and having the stores in Heath put them in their windows. And I thought that was a pretty good idea. But if any of you have any suggestions, feel free to make any changes. The one thing I did.
There were some suggestions, Jan, actually, that came to my attention from some of the employees.
It isn't blue. That water?
Yeah.
I saw that when I enlarged it. It is not blue, and I think that needs to be corrected somewhere along the line.
It's the same colors.
Yes, I know. Somewhere along the line, that must have gotten, I don't know, printed out wrong or whatever. But that's the one that was sent to me. But it needs to be changed to blue because it does. I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it does represent the water.
I may have that on my computer.
Okay.
I'll see.
Jenna sent that one to me.
Well, the one Jenna has, I think I sent to her.
But you know what? That can be fixed. I'm sure that when you have it done for the shirts, or you have it done for the banners, that can be fixed. But really, it ought to be fixed on your stationery.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. I was just going to say I actually have gotten some ideas and suggestions from city employees on things that we can do and ways that they would like to help us celebrate the city's 50th anniversary. And I'll pass those on to you if I haven't already, and I think that's great.
I think it's great, and I got a phone call from the secretary of the employees union here, and they want to participate, so we want to make sure that they are on the committee. I think the garden club ought to be on there.
Who is that?
We can have a pretty good one.
Is that right?
Okay. Who was it that called?
Denise.
Denise was the one that called me. I was en route, so I didn't get a chance to write her name down. I was trying to figure it all out. But they said they wanted to do something for that, and I talked with them a little bit about some of the things that we had discussed around the table here, and I want to make sure that the union is represented there. I think that's a great idea.
Good.
All right, anything else? Hearing nothing, we'll adjourn at 6:44.
Everybody need 5 minutes before we go into finance. Huh?
We're needing the suits for Doug.
Yeah, you all right?
Trainer.
That
Hurts done it. That's a hurt done it, isn't it? That's like one of these guys. Hurts done it. That's a hurt done it, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, if there's anybody that can stand on a trailer, on a hillside, and cut his shrubbery, he can handle that.
That's why
And he can handle me going over there and getting on to him too. I said, Doug, what are you doing? You lost your mind.
Yeah.
All right. You liked it?
Are we taking 5? We taking 5?
I think Jeff did.
Okay, well, it's just committee, so yeah, we're taking 5.
This is our pair of things.
Doug needs 5. Doug needs 5.
At the volleyball,
Nice tonight.
classic volleyball game, I was at the
39 years.
Hey, 39.
there. Well, they got her a bag of ice or something, put them on with it. I seriously, like, so where's the floor? But anyway. How are you? And then pretty soon they're yelling, hey, I'm sitting across from Ellis is sitting here, Tony Cook is sitting here, and I'm behind them, okay? And they're yelling across the way, and they're like looking like, and I can't tell, they're looking at me, looking at them, and they're going something, finally they're going something about trainer, or something like that, you know? Well, the trainer wasn't there, you know, like that. And George Crew was sitting there, something like that. And I go, well, I stayed at Holiday Inn, once I express, I'm over the street, you know? And George about busted it. So I said, I don't know, I'll go.
I can do basic first.
I mean, there was like trainer, and everyone's like looking like there's no trainer over there. I guess I said,
So what was wrong?
I mean, so much. Well, Tony got it. Well, somewhere they thought that what the trainer was down, maybe with a football or somewhere. You know, she was going to go call her and try to, you know, get her to come up there or something, but never did show up. The game was over. They were in the third game, and it was going. I mean, by the time. That was probably about halfway through the third game. He'd already won the first 2, and like so
Let me tell you, if it's just like his brain dislocated, then yes, you need a trainer for that person's going to be in big pain.
Yeah, she wasn't in big pain. She, you know, it's one of them deals where she landed wrong or did something, you know,
I got that going on right now.
rotator kind of situation or something. I don't know what she did, but I think actually she dove to like maybe like dig or something like that, and then probably came, you know,
I mean,
came down the short roll.
I've seen guys in tears.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she wasn't in that kind of agony or something. But it's funny. I looked at Jordan like that and I said, I say the Holiday Inn Express once, I guess I'm qualified. I got up, because they were in the whole place. I mean, it's like quiet. You know, they stopped the ball again. When this coach is yelling across their train, you know, like that. And everyone's like looking at us because you can tell he's looking over this way. They're in the whole place looking. Tony got up to go out and get something, so I got up, and so I guess I'll go.
They just
Took about 2 steps and sat back down.
Yeah, if they get monthly and they're in there. Now they don't also have they
I've never heard
Just never make sure you don't hurt your right arm because it'll ruin your crap game.
I mean, I've been hot with him until Friday.
Until Friday, yeah.
And it was.
limited number of people.
It was.
Did you have one of the deals where you pick the dice up and you go like 6 and you get the dice back and 7 out and you're like, seriously?
Yeah.
You know, so the next thing, you know, and you get it again, so now it's like you think, okay, I'll do better. That's like 3 crabs, okay, and then 12 crabs, okay. Now all of a sudden, now 6, now 7 out. It's like, yeah.
You would have had a hand day because this one guy was he saw a pattern.
Yeah.
How it just
Oh,
great.
yeah.
He saw a pattern. The second roll, there was a new come out roll.
Yeah.
Number was
Yeah.
every time.
It's like,
Every time. He's betting.
11, 12,
Yeah, he
yeah.
said $20.
Yeah. Make it hit money.
Yeah, because it was,
Standing up.
Yeah.
but he was winning money on it.
Oh, yeah.
He did on the second roll every time. And if you happen to hit it, he pressed it. It's just crazy that is trend. But I believe it's just.
Yeah. Do you believe in if the dice go off the table? Like I'm rolling the dice and one goes off the table, do you believe that I'm going to 7 up next thing so you take your money down or call your bets off or like that? Now, the only time that I see that, what I'll do is I'll with my odds, I'll take just 1 chip off. Like if I've got like 4 times odds, 5 times, yeah. Like let's say it's $10 chip and I've got like 30
$30 back here for some reason. Okay. And it doesn't, I may take like one powder chip off or 2 chips off to make it, something like that. I'll do that sometime. Just on the sake that he does, I just save $10 by doing it. And if he don't, and he gets the point, well, I still make all the money here. I just didn't get my odds on that. So but normally, if they throw any other numbers, that didn't affect it anyway. But other guys will call their bets off, and they'll call them off for like 3, 4, 5 rolls, and then they'll put them back on. But I see guys do that. Say off. And I'm sitting there, so they'll put it back on, they'll 7 out. Yeah.
At least. If it had been some other.
It's one of the deals where the dice should make, all the dice should be exactly the same in the casino, and it shouldn't make any difference. But I swear to God, when you take out these other dice, when you open the table up, there are so many more 7s in there than there is other numbers. And I don't care what you say. Anytime you open up a new table, and the dice like that, pretty much for about the first hour, you bet against the table, and then come out money. I don't know what it is about it, but it just seems like new dice throw more 7s than in there. I don't know if it's because they're just perfect and the odds are more 7s will come out, and then later on they do get a little more, so therefore they're not quite the same odds.
I'm ready. Are you ready? Do this thing.
I'm ready if you're ready. All right, let's get going. Everybody here? Finance Committee meeting order 651. We have one legislative request, $7,295 within the capital improvement fund to install an ice snow rail system pool filter building. Deb Cole, any other comments?
No, I think we covered it.
Committee's okay, all right. No other legislative requests. Pretty light agenda tonight. Heath, other items?
I reported this last time, the impound lot auction scheduled for October 25th, Saturday at 10 a.m. and it'll be right down the street here at Jay's Towing. The items tabled remain so.
Anyone know, did the police do it? I mean, do we know where that went?
Before I call, I was going to see if we need an executive session here.
It's up to them.
Did he go back with what we talked about and they haven't voted or they haven't talked or they haven't done anything?
He doesn't have anything on it. They haven't got back to him as far as I know. He's back in the hall talking to the Civil Service Commission.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, so it appears that he's not going to have any, there's no reason for him to have an executive session.
I will say about that.
He can't tell you anymore because he doesn't know what he said to me. So.
I would just, to everyone, that first item, number 1, under tabled items, as soon as we do have everything settled with the other thing, I'd like us to do something for the wages, we'll do it pretty quick, but, So have in the back of your mind what you think for mayor, auditor, council, have some, be thinking about it in between now and who knows when. So that when we do get together and do decide to do something on it, we're not at square one. We can say, almost go around the room and say, I think it ought to be this, this, and this, 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 and this, this, and then maybe come to a consensus and say, okay, let's go with this.
What are your thoughts at this point?
Mean the number for each one?
Your thoughts. You brought it up.
I think, I think council, we should do a little something, just for the simple fact that it'll be 16 years. When I came on council, I got the new raise, which is what we're at now, the 5,400. And when I complete this term, will be 16 years at 5,400. If I get reelected to the next another term, if you go up a little bit and stuff, but if you did a 1% raise, for back here for 16 years, even a little raise here would be above that. You know what I mean? It's like so.
So you don't have a number. You just.
I got some numbers. I just don't want to throw them out right now.
Okay.
And I got some other numbers for other things and stuff like that. But I don't think we ought to keep it the same for another Ford, make it 20 years at the same, you know, that same.
I was just curious, you brought it up.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you were gonna disclose some actual numbers.
If I would have thought I was going to do that, I would have brought them. I don't have them with me, so I don't want to just say some numbers off the top of my head and then be wrong. And then later, you know, next time say, oh, well, you thought it was, you know. I got some numbers. I just don't want to do them off the top of my head right now. That's all right.
All right. Anything else for finance then? Okay, we're adjourned at 6:55.
Want to do caucus real quick and then we can have a break? All right. Who's doing the invocation? Cletus? Delinquent accounts, that'll be Mr. Morrow. I'm down for petition communications.
Yeah, I don't have it. I gotta check with Dawn and see what.
You know what the service committee did last week? 3 weeks ago?
That was a month ago. It wasn't, haven't been one this.
We probably already did it, so there might not, unless he had another one. We'll just check with Lynn to see if there's no, if there is one,
I'll check.
you
with
do it.
Dawn.
If there's not,
Yeah.
then we won't.
If there is one, she probably would have included it in
You
this
would have thought
packet.
you'd include it. I don't know why she got it on the agenda if it's not, unless she got to take it out from last one. We'll check. Like I said, when I go petition communications, if she reads one, okay, then do it.
Yeah, we'll know.
We'll know. And if she doesn't read one, we know there's not one. That'll work out. All right, introduction of ordinances. The
Just up to there, Cam, 74, 75, John says they can be held for the second reading.
74, 75, yeah, it can be held as a second reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do 76. You want me to do 76?
Then 76, that's repealing this thing we did about the
We did it before.
Civil service.
civil
rules.
service.
rules.
So we want to do away, right? So we're going to repeal that. And then, so, okay, Jeff, you're going to do that?
Yeah, I'll declare an emergency.
Okay, so then once we repeal that,
Rules.
well, I'm getting ahead of myself. But we have this, I got this packet of stuff like their changes they wanted to, you gave it to me on Friday.
Is it dated September 11th, 2014?
Yes.
Okay. Hey,
I got this at work.
Can you come here a minute, please?
Now, are we,
David, you might want to come too.
yeah, okay, are we doing something with that tonight? Because I thought last meeting, we talked about
Senior
having to do something this meeting.
So this is the packet.
No, just hold up a minute.
Proposed rule changes after reviewing a portion of the civil service rules.
Right, but tonight, all we want you to do is revoke that ordinance. And actually, I think after David and I spoke the other day, we're going to take this back and work on it together and clean it up a little bit before we present it to you.
Okay. So all we're doing tonight is getting rid of what we did
Right.
back
Yeah.
several weeks
We
ago.
didn't have a public hearing.
Right.
I mean, we didn't really follow things by the letter.
So we're going to get rid of that, and then we'll go back to square one. You and David get together, tweak this, eventually
bring
come
it
back
back.
with a new ordinance, do everything. Okay. I just wanted to know where we stood on that. Okay.
Yes, thank
All
you.
right. That'll work. Clear as mud.
So-
Okay, so yeah, Jeff, if you will
Suspend the rules.
suspend the rules and we'll vote on that. Okay. Ordinance is on second reading. The weeds and stuff, that was 71. That's yours, Doug.
Is this the one with the notice and stuff?
That's where in 2 days, it's going to 48 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
Change
So-
that. Yeah.
So Doug, you do that one,
Yeah.
and that's all we have.
It was 2 days and now it's 48 hours. Isn't that 2 days? That's what.
What?
What did I hear? What did I hear you say?
What did you say?
It's in the ordinance at 48 hours. 2 days, 48 hours. It's 48 hours. At least that's the way I understood it.
But it used to be you had to give notice in the paper and all that kind of
Notice,
stuff.
yeah.
It's not changing it from 2 days to 48
When you
hours.
said that, you were going to change it from 2 days to 48 hours. And I thought,
I didn't mean it that way.
All right. We're going to change a foot to 12 inches, and we're going to change it.
We're going to change it. Yeah, 365 days.
Oh, God.
This